All right, so today should be pretty quick. We've talked about the different forms of quadratics, but we kind of separated them. We did vertex form and being able to pull the vertex out of the equation, like here in these ones. It's opening down, it's a negative. The vertex is going to be 1, -1, and you can graph from there. Now, and same concept with standard. We learned how to pull out your vertex, how to get your axis of symmetry, the formula for that. But we didn't learn how the two forms relate. You can actually toggle back and forth between vertex and standard form. So if you don't like it in standard, you can put it in vertex. If you don't like it in vertex, you can put it in standard. And I just want to kind of show you how those do go back and forth and how they do relate. So the first three examples say it's in vertex form, and they want you to put it in standard form. So that means you're going to be foiling this out. So we're going to have x minus 1 times x minus 1, right, squared. So we have x times x squared, x times -1, -1x, -1 times x, -1x, -1 times -1 is +1. And then here you have x squared minus x makes -2x plus 1. So that is this foiled out. So we have y equals negative x minus 1 squared was x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then on the end, we still have a -1. So we foiled this. And then we're going to go ahead and distribute that negative. Negative x squared. Negative times a negative makes +2x, -1, and then still -1 on the end. And then combine any like terms. So we got negative x squared plus 2x. -1, -1 makes -2, and that is in standard form. All right, so that's all you're doing here. Foil it out, distribute, combine any like terms, and then you'll have it in standard form. Now, the other route, going from standard to vertex, so taking something in standard form and putting it back into vertex form, it's a little more complicated, and it involves completing the square. So remember completing the square, we had a little formula. Take b, cut it in half, and square it. We're going to be coming back to that. We're going to be using that today. So we're going to go ahead and just set this up real quick. Like when we, that's a 2, minus 8x plus 15. Like when we were completing the square before. So the 15 is the ugly thing, right? We're going to subtract it from both sides. So we're going to have a -15 over here. I'm going to leave some space. And then over here we have x squared minus 8x. So remember with completing the square, you wanted to add something to both sides. What is that something? That's where your formula comes in. So we want -8, cut it in half, and square it. So -8 divided by 2 is -4, squared is 16. So we want to add 16 to both sides. So over here, 16 minus 15 is 1. And here, the reason you did it is to get that perfect square, right? We want to get that perfect square like in vertex mode. So we're going to have x minus 4 squared, right? Because -4 times -4 is +16, and -4 plus -4 is -8. And this is looking really, really close to vertex form. We just got to get that 1 back over. So we're going to subtract it. And we're going to bring our y back in. So y equals, now we have x minus 4 squared. We subtracted that 1. And now you have a quadratic in vertex form. Okay, so you can toggle back and forth, like I said, between the two forms. So going from vertex form to standard form, right? You might have to distribute and foil everything out. And then going from standard form back to vertex, you're going to have to complete the square. And that's what you're doing on these ones. All right, moving on. The next one just wants you to take it a step further and actually graph it. So I'll do one more with you. Again, we're going to complete the square. So we're going to subtract that 7. So we have a -7, leave a little space. X squared minus 6x. Remember, you want to add something to both sides. What is that something? That's what our formula was. Take b, right, -6, divide by 2, and square it. So -6 divided by 2 is -3, squared is 9. So we want to add 9 to both sides. 9 minus 7 leaves me with 2. And the reason we did it was so that would be a nice perfect square, x minus 3 squared. All right, -3 times -3 is +9. -3 plus -3 is -6. Bring that 2 back over, so we have y equals x minus 3 squared. We subtracted, it's a square, we subtracted 2, and there's our vertex form. So now that there's a vertex form, we can pull out our vertex, change, keep, so change to +3 and keep -2. And we're going to graph that vertex. +1, 2, 3, -1, 2. Now, bear with me because this doesn't always like when I draw on it. +3, -2. Now, if you wanted to for the other points, you could do a t-chart, or hopefully by now we've done so many parabolas, you can remember the basic parabola because there's nothing happening out here. So over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, or over 1, up 1, 2, 3, over 1, up 1, 2, 3. And from there you can graph your parabola. All right, so that's all this. I am expecting to see this work. I want to see you completing the square. I want to see that vertex pulled out. And I want to see, you counting the over 1, up 1. And don't forget, remember, whatever's out front tells you opening up or down. Right? So this has a minimum. It's opening up. Just a little review. All right, so that's what you're going to be doing on this page. I'll see you tomorrow.